Hello.
All right, there we go.
Anything?
I can hear you now.
Wait, we can't hear him now.
Now why can't we hear him? What are we doing? No!
Are you on a time crunch, my friend?
No, dude, I'm free all night, so do what you gotta do.
Okay, all right.
Let's optimize this.
Guys, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Please go back.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
I'm like, all the shit we have downstairs. None of it's good. Well, thank you for having us.
Dude, thanks for reaching out for wanting to be a part of an episode. You know, thanks for remembering me to for these. So I appreciate.
We had a hell of a time last time, so it was a no-brainer.
What I usually do to start the episodes is I usually crack a beer. If you have any unopened drinks in front of you, if you would like to do the opening crack with me.
Let me hold on. Let me just get a drink. You got my drink?
You got booze, brother?
My Diet Dr. Kelp?
This shit nice.
This shit nice. I got some gin glasses. Oh my God! Wow. Why are we the most unprepared? I'm gonna put alcohol in an oat milk cup, if that's cool.
Dude,
And maybe a Zelda mug.
I don't judge. You're good.
Kids, don't watch.
It's called beers with fans. Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I like how they all just everyone just grabbed hard alcohol.
We're doing drugs on this show?
Dude, I got a bottle of absinthe on the way. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Whew. All right. Go ahead. Pour me up, brethren.
Are we cracking? Are we doing it?
We're cracking.
Cracking
All right.
wise.
Cracking.
Cracking wise.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, I'm sitting down with a new melodic hardcore band out of New Jersey called Tether. How are y'all doing?
What's up, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great, you know.
What's up, vlog?
Dude, every time I do that, I always think what's up, YouTube? I'm here with a whole new thing.
What is going on, you guys?
Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button.
I always feel so weird, and now I'm on YouTube now, with the video version, so
yeah.
it feels even weirder because now people can see me do that.
Oh shit! I actually have to talk to people.
Yeah.
Smash that like. Yeah, smash that like button.
But like I mentioned, you guys are Tether, a melodic hardcore band out of New Jersey. You guys are newly formed. You have a new EP that we'll be talking about, but I feel like we should kind of start first with who you are and what you do in Tether.
Awesome. You guys want me to start?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm Josh. If you want my full name, Joshua Ganesh. The government name.
Social Security is.
I'm the vocalist of Tether. I scream, I sing, and I do spoken word.
I'm Will. I play guitar, and I also sing a little bit.
Okay.
That's my thing.
And you wrote almost
Literally wrote all
the songs.
I
What the hell?
I wasn't gonna say that, but I did.
Yeah.
My name's Christian. I'm the drummer.
That's it.
And that's it.
Hold up, though. This man recorded, produced, mixed, mastered every note on that EP. So, come on, man. Also, yes.
I'm Serge. I play bass. I don't sing or scream or produce anything. I'm practically just here.
And we love you.
I make low sounds. So I got that going.
Oh my god.
My man's been fat as fuck.
Yeah.
Man, this is gonna be a good night.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we just started, and the laps that we've already gone through and had, in the last 20 minutes of getting everything prepared, have been great. So I'm stoked where this is gonna go. But like I mentioned, you guys are newly formed, so to kind of take me back, because not a lot of people outside of your New Jersey scene, which as like Will's been on the podcast, so like I know that there's like this whole like emo pop punk scene out there, but now seeing this hardcore scene come out, like take me kind of to the start of Tether. Like, how did you guys, the four of you, get together to become this new project?
Would you like me to?
Yeah, you want to
Yeah,
take the
take
reins?
it.
Oh shit. So
We
to
can tag team it.
to
if you
kind
want.
yeah. So to kind of start it out, years ago, I want to say I'm 27 now, and about 10 years ago, when I was a junior in high school, I started a band in the local to the New Jersey scene called Providence, which I started it with a few friends of mine, and we were relatively big in the melodic hardcore scene to the degree where we opened for bands in the likes of Barrier, Adalia, In Dying Arms. Future bands we opened for were Counterparts, Gideon, Expire. So we got to open with some like really cool bands, even though we were young kids, like 17, 18, 19, starting out. We were scared shitless. We tried to do a battle of the bands with like Sumerian Records. They told us to kind of shove off because we had like no experience, and they were like, what are we gonna do with a bunch of high schoolers? And like, so we were like, all right, whatever. So then after I kind of fell off with Tether, I fell off with Providence. I stayed away from the New Jersey scene for a very long time. I kind of just went to my own, like the bigger shows, not really tied along to the New Jersey local scene. I kind of thought it died, not gonna lie. And I didn't, it wasn't like to their fault or anyone's fault. I was just like, I fell off of it. I fell off. And so then years later, like about 8 years later, I met up with Christian and Gabby, who previously was the guitarist of Tether as well. I met up with them. They played in a band called Afloat, who is local to the New Jersey scene, like an emo punk alternative style band. They hit me up one day and they were like, yo, we know that you have somewhat of a background in music. How would you feel about maybe starting a hardcore band? But you being the front man. In my previous band, I was the guitarist and I was the lead guitarist at the time. So it was like kind of a weird domain for me. I kind of liked hiding behind the guitar because I could move around with a guitar, but I didn't have to actually have a personality in front of people. I was just like mean. I was just kind of mean mugging people, and like they didn't have to hear me talk because I sound like a prepubescent child. So I was like, I was like, I don't know. I didn't really want to talk in front of people. So I just kind of like got with them. They said, hey, let's start a hardcore band. And I thought hardcore was just a little too much for me. I love hardcore music and I love the style of hardcore, especially to the likes of what it started out now with like Jesus Piece and Turnstile and all these different bands that have just kind of like rejuvenated the scene. And like, and not just obviously they're not local entirely to Jersey. Jesus Piece is from Pennsylvania. So it's kind of cool that we have that locality with them. But I felt like I'd go back to my roots of the melodic hardcore scene where I love spoken word. I love like bands like La Dispute, Being as an Ocean. I love Counterparts. They're my favorite band. They are an inspiration to me. And I wanted to kind of do something synonymously to what they were doing, but then kind of give it a little twist with some singing because I also like to sing and I love to scream. So I figured I'd do both. And then I met up with these guys and I was introduced to all these guys and it was amazing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyone want to say anything else?
I mean, it was cool because like after we've only been a band 1 year, like right, like pretty much just here.
Yeah.
Just about.
And I mean, even within that year, like Will, I want to say we because like we'll like tweak the songs, but Will like wrote all of our songs. We had another guitarist that ended up leaving. We had a different bass player at the start that ended up leaving. And like through that year, we've kind of like shifted and like changed members and lost members, gained members. And now like us as a 4-piece, I feel like we really like locked in and like just felt really comfortable with each other. And so it's like, it took a little bit to get here, but I feel like this is like what it was meant to be. So like now we all feel like really good about it.
Yeah.
At least I think so.
Absolutely.
I would agree. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
mean, Josh has been in heavy bands. Me and Serge actually played in, same thing, like kind of hardcore music years back, and then kind of fell out of it. And I feel like this is your first kind of step into like heavy.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool that you wrote everything with like, he has like a different twist on like what stereotypical hardcore should sound like.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't sound like very cookie cutter. I couldn't really place us next to any one band, so it's kind of like a neat little twist on like hardcore. You know what I mean?
I think we definitely fall where people listening go, that's Tether. Like that's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
uniquely hard thing to do, but I think we kind of pulled it off a little bit, and I think it's a lot to this guy, seriously. Like again, I was the last member to join, so I was just like, hey, come play bass. I was like, sure. And that worked out. So no, but it's.
I mean,
it's
you
cool.
learned this at how quick before our first show?
Dude, like
But I'm-
2 or 3
it was like
Yeah.
a couple
barely,
practices, and then he's like, "Oh, I got it."
Yeah. I was
The
like,
man
You're
had-
adding your own riffs and just fucking it up.
Yeah,
You're killing it.
I'm
on the
firmly
first
a guitar
practice.
player, so I was like, all right, bass should be.
with such a strict deadline. And I don't want to even say deadline because we are working with a smaller Philly record label who graciously welcomed us with open arms and has been so patient with us through a lot of like the tumultuous changes that we've kind of had. It definitely was really cool to see someone like Serge come into the band and just kind of pick up and be so inventive and so just like on the spot with a lot of different ideas, not even just bass, because Serge, you do play other instruments. So that really added another element to the band. And Christian being predominantly a drummer, bassist, Will really honing in on the guitar and being a vocalist, like everyone having that own interesting element, but having different ties to different genres of music, also being able to kind of like hone in on that one specific melodic hardcore or metalcore or post-hardcore, whatever you want to call it. I don't really like to be pigeonholed to a specific genre, but I knew exactly what I wanted in a band, and these guys exactly, once they started hearing me scream, once they started putting the instruments together, they were like, oh yeah, this is exactly what we could sound like, and this is exactly how we should sound like. And we were able to kind of form a sound of our own. And like they said, like
we
when
both
you
got our own flavor in there. I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Like, you can
definitely.
hear Serge's bass playing, you can hear you're writing like whatever drum fills I'm doing, you know, they sound like drums. But like everyone has like their own everyone has like their own flavor, and I think that's what makes Tether sound like Tether.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, go
10
ahead,
years
sorry.
ago when you guys were all playing heavy music, I was playing ska punk. And you've heard Driving Underwater, which is very like rock and roll punk. But I've always been like secretly listening to hardcore music and metal music and stuff. And especially more recently, I've really gotten into like more prog metal artists like Polyphia, Intervals, Pliny, Animals as Leaders, like that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Well, kind of to wrap up a lot of what you guys just said and kind of bounce off some things, like how you guys are saying how like this final four that you have right now is kind of like set. Like you guys, like even just sitting here and just hanging out and talking with you guys, the vibes that you guys have are working so well. We're like, it doesn't feel like anyone like doesn't fully want to be there. Like you guys are having so much fun just on that end, just bullshitting, or like even when like we had that whole speaker issue, like just like the interactions that you guys had, like you can tell like this is a tight-knit fucking group that is gonna lock in. And then like this EP, like thank you so much for sending it over ahead of time. Like it's been fun to listen to. Like I definitely, like Josh, where you're saying like you really are a big fan of Counterparts. I'm also a really big fan of Counterparts, and I can see that shining through in this. And like everything you guys are doing, like adding in the spoken word into like, which you sometimes, like obviously Counterparts has done it, but like you don't always see it in a lot of like hardcore. And it's nice when it is in there because you get those fucking fire riffs behind it, and then you just have that spoken words section. It just like pops off so well. And I mean, Will, like to have you be writing all these, because like obviously it's been a while since we talked. For Driving Underwater, you write part of that for that project too, right?
So it's a little more of it's a different process for them, and
right.
It's more like so like guitars, I'm writing everything, but Rob's coming to us with bass parts and vocal parts. G writes a ton of lyrics. Like they write way more lyrics than I write.
Okay.
So it's a very collaborative thing. And not to say that this wasn't collaborative either. I mean, like I put demos together that these guys all just made 100% better. So like I came with an idea, and then I think Submerged and Disintegrate, you had guitar ideas
Yes,
that you showed
yes,
me, and then we
yes.
built those two around those. So yeah, the process was slightly different, but anything as far as like me using Logic to just demo things out is just for me to give the guys more of a clear vision of like, this is the vibe I was going for. If you fuck with it, like just let me know what you think and then make it your own sort of thing, you know?
Right.
Because I always go in fully expecting you guys to expand upon it. You know?
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of it too, to kind of piggyback off of what Will was saying, is that like none of us are really holding a gun to each other's head about like who's doing, like literally who's doing what. Like when Will does bring a riff to us, we just finished writing a new song past the EP. And when Will came to us with that riff, we were like, oh yeah, it sounds great. Like the original riff, amazing. However, I think we can expand upon it. Christian came up with a lot of really amazing ideas on how we could open it up a little differently because of his drumming knowledge, his bass knowledge, and how he thinks of how heaviness should come in. Serge really came through with just a lot of the expansion of the sound, especially how the actual melody would go, the riff would go, and especially now writing that song as a 4-piece band, trying to make it sound as fat as we possibly could and as put together as we possibly could and as expansive as we could. It really put us in a vibe, like in a challenge. Like we had to like really challenge ourselves to be like, okay, how can we do this to where it sounds as full as possible, as if you were listening to a 5 or 6-piece band? And I think lyrically, you know, I told the guys writing for the EP, I wrote all the lyrics, but going into the album in the future LP processes, I would love to see expansion on these guys' lyrics, or ideas that they have about what they would want to write. Because we had a specific mindset with the EP that I wanted to write about, that I just had some things to say, some words to say, and I wanted to talk about. And so I did it. They allowed me to do it, which I'm so grateful for. But in the future, it's not just about me. It's about all of us. So, you know, I wanted to be able to like do that with them. And I think that's so cool that we can all come together and kind of really like a hive mind kind of bounce those ideas back to each other so easily.
No, yeah, that's awesome. With this also, you know, you guys are Tether's basically a year old. How's it been received in the New Jersey scene? I know, like Josh, you were saying, like you kind of fell out of the local scene. I mean, that happens to everyone. That happened to me. Like I was in my local scene. I fell out for a while, and then I was like, I need to find a way to get back in. Start doing the podcast, and this was my kind of route back in. And now I've kind of dipped a toe into like it feels like everyone's scene. Especially like New Jersey, Pennsylvania scene. I feel like I've dipped a lot of toes into that scene.
Hell yeah.
You guys have like that fucking like whatever you call like
the tri-state area.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
killer.
Statistically, the tri-state area and typically the East Coast has the largest saturation of local bands and like the largest local scene in the entire country. And so it's really cool to see, like, I mean, growing up, I would have never thought that bands of the likes of like Thursday, Census Fail, and like all those other kind of bands, those niche type of bands, whether it's emo, whether it's punk or hardcore or whatever you want to call it, I would have never known originally that they were from these states or they were from these areas. And then as I got older, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, hold on. Now it makes sense why they wrote New Jersey falls into the Atlantic. Oh my God. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Hate New Jersey.
Because you can have a lot of reasons to hate New Jersey, but it was just so cool to see that. And like you said, like, it wasn't hard to dive back into the scene because originally I really thought the scene was kind of fading. And I had, when I was growing up in the scene as a high schooler, I really saw so much potential in the scene. But then when I got into like my early to mid 20s, I really didn't hear a lot about shows happening or didn't really hear a lot about anything. And then just this weird explosion, of course, after the pandemic, everyone had the opportunity to actually be live and be out and about, and people were allowed to surround themselves and crowd themselves. So shows were happening again. It was the poppin' thing to happen again. So everyone was like, holy shit, like we can do this. Like we will never get this chance again. maybe, who knows if another pandemic will happen tomorrow, because they told us it would be only a few months. And here we are a year later and we're fucking shackled in our houses. You know what I'm saying? So like, it just like, it made me think like, I need to take this opportunity. And now these guys, as well as me, I mean, I'm 27 and I'm like, I want to take advantage of this. I want to be able to do something, and not because I want to, make a name for myself in music. I love doing this. I have loved doing this, and I love being able to do something like this. And I know these guys, you can tell these guys love doing it the same way.
It's all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right.
Something to do on a Tuesday night, am I right?
I got nothing else going on.
Yo, where's my money?
My Tuesday was wide open. So.
Tether needs a new bass player.
Wait, you guys were getting paid?
You guys are getting paid for this?
What the fuck did we get ice cream?
Did you hear anything about getting ice cream?
Anyway.
Anyways, sorry.
No, you're good. So yeah, kind of back to, I guess, the start of that. How has Tether been received so far in like the New Jersey scene?
We did kind of stray away
We
from that question, didn't we?
ran away.
There was like 2 questions in my one question, so
I
you're
am
fine.
drinking liquor in an oat milk cup.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. I'm not.
Josh, I took your cup.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh hell yeah, I gave it to you. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realize you did that. I thought you were clean.
I
I
think
think pretty well.
I think pretty well.
We've only had a few shows, but like,
Really, yeah.
I mean,
I
even
think
like I said,
5
we've
maybe.
been abandoned
Yeah.
a year. Yeah, maybe like 5-6 shows. Like, really not too many. But I think it's weird to say from the band's point of view, like whether people like us, because like
Yeah.
we're the band, so it's like leave that for them to decide.
Yeah.
Well, like
Yeah.
without sounding like cocky, like I feel like we have gotten people be like, "Yo, you guys have only played X amount of shows. Like that's crazy. You guys
Yeah.
are tight."
That's
Like,
the biggest
yeah.
thing.
I feel like we
Yeah.
get pretty good response, even from our first show ever. Like our first show was at the end of an existing show. It was at Josh's basement.
Yeah.
That we threw a show, and just like at the end, we're like, we only have 3 songs written. Let's just hop on and play them.
Yeah.
And like not even be on the bill, not even a
Yeah,
real
yeah,
band.
yeah.
We're just like, hey, we're gonna play these 3 songs we have.
Yeah.
And literally everyone that night was like, you guys have only been a band for how many months? Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I feel like the couple shows we've done have gotten pretty well received so
And
far.
technically, we're now in June. I want to say June onset, early July will be our official year of being a band.
Yeah.
and
it hasn't even been a year.
It hasn't even been a year,
Yeah.
and
End of August is like the anniversary of
the first show. And every show we've had since that show, it feels kind of overwhelming that people have come to us and just the same responses every time. Like, you've been a band for how long? Like, you guys sound so tight. You sound like this, you sound like that. And I love the references, or like the bands that people kind of compare us to. Like the one moment someone compared us to Silverstein, I almost shit my pants because I
You got a
literally
signed poster?
have a signed Silverstein poster right above my computer, and I almost shit my pants because Silverstein just liked a story of mine a few days ago, and like
Yeah.
I
You're shitting your pants a lot.
I've been shitting my pants a lot. I can't control it. And
I've been shitting your pants.
I've been shitting
I've
pants a
been shitting your
lot.
pants. I gotta
And-
tell
I'm
you,
drunk.
and honestly, like I think we remain humble about it in the sense that like we haven't put out a single taste of music besides live videos.
Yeah.
And maybe like a taste of demos that haven't even been the mixes or masters that Christian has done at all. And we still have like a relative following, and people are genuinely excited to hear what we have going on, and they don't even know what the fuck we sound like. Like only from if they've actually seen us live, which is exciting nonetheless. Like we
Yeah.
love being able to play live. We just love that aspect of it, but it's just been so well received, I think, from the current party of people that have heard us.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the reactions I've seen have been insane, from people just like wondering how I do the vocals, from screaming to singing and spoken word to sing. And then just how everyone remains so tight, just knowing when to play. Like we're not using fancy equipment like in-ear monitors or, you know, the shit that costs you an arm and a leg. Like I'd have to sell my fucking kidney for, like, you know, like we genuinely just have heart for this, and we know what we want to
Service
play.
bass doesn't have a case.
Dude, it sits in the back room.
It's a naked bass.
Yeah.
I've had this bass since I was 12.
Yeah.
It fucking rips, man.
No, it rips. He literally we just practiced before this podcast, and he walks in the basement. It's so beautiful. You ever watch the video where like the teacher walks into the class, he goes, "Hello, hello, hello." It's like Surge walking into the basement, just "What's up, brothers?" You know, just gripping the fucking bass neck for dear life.
Again, I'm the guy who breaks shit in my other band.
Yeah.
For fun, so equipment maintenance ain't shit to me. Does it work? All right. Sounds good.
Oh man.
But to answer your question, and yeah, it's been received pretty well. Like I'm not even trying to bullshit or lie about it, and I don't think the guys they would honestly make a face that they'd be like,
They hate us.
They hate
It's
us.
terrible.
Please don't listen.
No, I think something that really helped is, and it's cool to be able to be somewhat involved in the scene in this way, is just to have Gideon's as a place where people can come through. Like our friend Gabby that we mentioned earlier has been throwing a lot of shows in this area, and she's really kind of built, for lack of a better word, a scene that wasn't really there. Like we talked about how the scene kind of, came and went in waves. Like I feel like 10 years ago there were at
The
least
Brad shows.
Yeah,
VFW.
there were at least like 4 or 5 promoters around that were really just doing it week in, week out. And for a while it was kind of just like this big hole. It was either Philly or New Brunswick or Glassboro.
Yeah.
And like, to her credit, like she started throwing shows here, and we've started booking shows here, and she has another space too that a lot of people show up to, and it's just really like, we were kind of lucky to have started up with her in the band and been able to have that. It was basically just like, oh, we can throw you on the show, and then people would show up, and it was just an easy way for people to hear us, which was really cool.
Yeah, I've seen, thankfully through DIY Twitter, I know a lot of people that are mutuals with Gabby, and I've seen some of the flyers that have been passed around and the work that she's done. So, quick shout out to Gabby for, helping revitalize that scene and just, being a workhorse at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Good word.
But like you mentioned, a lot of people have not heard, actual material besides live stuff from Tether, which kind of gets us to the point as to why you guys are on the podcast today. You have your debut EP coming out called Human Error. Comes out in July, which this episode comes out the first weekend in July. So by math, it's here or almost here.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. July 14th.
Yes.
July 14th. So by the time this comes out, we're gonna be like a couple weeks out from it. But I mean, this is your good visual or hearing, or I don't know the right word, but glimpse is the word that I'm looking for into what this is, what's going on. Like I said, it's an EP called Human Error. It's 6 songs, and I mean, Christian, you knocked it out of the park with production on this. Like, this is a sick fucking listen. Like, it's not, it's not like just some basement recordings. Like, this is some good ass shit all around that you guys put in work.
Yeah, I mean, it actually literally was done in Josh's basement. We literally did all of this, like,
that's why I looked at you.
If you were to see how DIY it is, it's insane. But like, and people, we had like little teasers on the Tether Instagram and my Instagram, Will's Instagram. I don't know if Serge, you put a teaser out or not. No. He's like, fuck these guys. But the teaser we did do, like, I have this little like nook in my basement that I'm trying to turn into a recording studio, and
right now it's just full of furniture.
It's just
sawdust.
It's just full of shit. It's full of sawdust.
It actually really helps to deaden the sound in there.
Yeah, it actually does. But it's so funny because people like were hitting me up via like Instagram DMs, like, because sometimes I like to act like the world's funniest person on Instagram, and people were hitting me up on Instagram like, what the fuck is that? Like, they're like, where are you recording your vocals? And I'm like, my dungeon. What do you mean? And honestly, like, I just can't wait for people to hear the EP, because in the video you can hear the vocals and you can kind of hear the rawness of it, but being able to, I mean, Christian, did you really even have to touch my vocals too heavily.
A little
A little
bit,
bit, yeah. Like
Yeah.
obviously because like you had to make it work.
Yeah, you just but I mean everything that I did was like, I mean you kind of put it in my eyes like in a way that you said it was kind of similar to like At the Drive-In, which I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah.
90s punk band that like all of their recordings I think were done by the guitar player.
Pretty much, yeah. And they
But just a
recorded
very
live, too.
raw sound and live recording. So even though we didn't record live, like I feel like I really didn't try to overproduce and like glam anything up and put any special sauce. Like I just kind of really tried to make it sound like us.
Yeah.
Especially after like not having a second guitar player and then coming to the realization that like all of our shows are going to be with one guitar. I tried to mix it in a way that really just highlighted bass and like Will's lead parts, and I think that came through. Hopefully.
Oh yeah.
So.
He said, "Oh yeah."
Yeah,
No,
I'm
like-
glad you like it. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it was a great listen to. It was great to listen to, and like you're saying, where it's not, you didn't overdo it. Like you just left it to showcase really what you guys are, and I feel like it comes across perfect. Like there's, especially the spots where like the whole EP starts off with like this spoken word section, and then like how it just leads up and just over like everything that's done, production wise or just instrumental wise, like. It's a great fucking listen and just really brought me back to like that first time that I listened to The Difference Between Hell and Home by Counterparts. The first time I listened to that, I was like fucking hooked on shit, and this EP brought me back to that moment. In such a good
I'm
way.
so happy you even compared it to that. Wow. I
just shit his pants
just
again.
shit my pants.
Oh my
I
God.
did. Oh my god,
You
that
did. It smelled.
literally.
Save
I'm very happy you said that because actually I got to open for Counterparts shortly after that album was released. And
Every time you say that, I'm like, no. you
and
didn't.
yes, Brendan, it's so funny because Brendan Murphy, and if he listens, I hope he listens to this.
I would fucking die. I would shit my
I will
pants.
fucking die. I will shit my pants.
Years ago, just a little segue. Years ago, I had a like a sunburn, like kind of dark mahogany, like brown Telecaster, Fender Telecaster. It was my sunburn.
I thought you were saying you had a sunburn.
Sunburn, yeah,
Sunburn.
whatever.
Close.
I had this Telecaster. It was the first guitar I ever purchased for myself. Again, mind you, I was a high schooler, so like I worked at Subway and I had to like make money to like get my own gear. So like I had this Telecaster and it was sitting on my Marshall amp. And Brendan from Counterparts, the vocalist, knocks over my Telecaster. He goes, "Oh shit, whose is that?" And I'm like, "It's mine, but you can destroy it. Like you can literally
take a
fucking
shit on
step
it,
on it, bro." And it was just so funny because we got to open up for like some really great talent in New Jersey at the time. We opened Illusionist, Young Graves.
Completely out of the frame.
It was
You come in
us,
like in and out.
it was us Illusionists, Young Graves, and Counterparts. And I think another band as well. And it was just amazing. So thank you for that. That was awesome to hear you say. Like that's like crazy.
We totally didn't pay you to say that.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to say that.
Nailed it. Yeah, I was gonna say, that moment.
Because like truthfully, like when we were writing the songs, I didn't want to like people in my old band, people used to call us a Counterparts ripoff band because we were so inspired by them. We tried so hard to sound like them. And in my old band, we had a 6-song EP and then a 2-song EP. And then we were supposed to have a full length, a 10 to 11 song full length. And then I quit. And like, and then there was like all this other drama. And like, it was, I just thank you. That just means a lot.
Well, at least now you can say like, oh, it wasn't just me. Like, there's 3 other people in this band, and they also made it sound something like it.
Thanks, guys. No, truthfully, these guys, like I rave about these guys to literally everyone I know, and it's like I don't even. Christian knows, like I'm so self-deprecating. Like all, I am so I try to like not do that as much. Like I know I'm a grown ass man, and I know I need to like stop doing that, and I go to therapy, but like. I can't help it. Like these guys, truly, these guys are really awesome. Seriously, they really helped me make like a dream come true. Like seriously, I think about it day in, day out. It's amazing.
Okay.
Well, shit.
Well, shit.
I'm gonna shit my band. Come on.
Are you crying?
Are you crying? I'm just sweating on my forehead.
Don't do that.
If people are finally going to check out this EP and like whether they've seen you guys live, or they're just now getting introduced to Tether, like what's something that they can like expect to fully like, I don't know, this is a cliche, I guess, expect to get out of your music. I mean, considering, you know, this is your first release, this is the first glimpse into the outer rims of just the local scene for you guys. This is, you know, going out to everyone. Like, what's something that they can expect?
I think the thing that I like about our band, which is like rare that I'll play in a band and then like listen and be like, this is enjoyable to listen to. Like it's got what I like about it is like it kind of reminds me of like 2000s emo music. Like there's a lot of like Silverstein, Hawthorne Heights, My Chemical Romance, like nostalgic enjoyment, but also like kind of a fresh take. Like it sounds like new and modern, but it kind of has like reminiscence of like these bands that I grew up listening to, and like that's what kind of makes it cool for me.
Yeah, I like that take. I like that take. I think I don't know if you that was, I like that you said Hawthorne Heights. Hell yeah. Oh,
Shout out the homies.
shout out the homies. They don't know I exist, but they're the homies anyway. I think like, because we haven't even gotten to the topic of like what the EP is about, but like and I don't have to touch on that right now, but I think when people understand what the EP is about, I hope that there's a that's not a word, like a resonant factor. Close, right? Yeah. Resonation. Yeah. I think people are going to really gravitate and resonate with what I'm talking about. And like, especially at our live shows, I don't try to make it like a performance, like an act. Like, yes, that is what it technically is. But like, I try to like have a vulnerable conversation, because in the songs, I'm talking about shit that I wouldn't really be able to talk to in the most vulnerable state I am to the people that I thought would want to hear me talk about that. And like being able to talk about that in music, something that I'm so passionate about and something that I love, it just means the world to me. So like I feel like people are going to be able to resonate with like what I'm actually trying to say, and like when people actually understand the lyrics, because I know they're not going to understand it face value like right away, like what I'm trying to say. Maybe the singing, yeah, maybe the screaming, they'll have to dig in a little more. But I think it's going to be really cool when people actually understand what the EP is about, how they can actually tie that to their personal life. Because I think when people think of their favorite bands, why are they their favorite bands? Is it because they think this person's so hot, or is it because they think this person is someone they can actually relate to?
I mean, you're pretty hot.
I mean,
Smash. Next question.
Smash. Next question.
I mean, you could stop shitting your pants.
The reason why I said that is because like I'm thinking of the likes of like people like really loving like Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber or something like that, and they're like, oh, I just love them because they're like so attractive or something like that.
Oh man,
because like
you're about to make a lot of enemies. Tread carefully.
My Swift was just in Philly, bro.
The EP's not even out yet, bro.
Fun fact. I actually love Justin Bieber.
I mean, that's fair.
I do love Justin Bieber, but we're not going to expand on that. I have a reputation to keep. So
he didn't say he loved Justin Bieber's music. He just said he loved.
No. If Justin Bieber hears this, he's going to think I don't like his music.
I mean,
please, I do like.
So I would kiss him, whatever.
I just want to give him a fucking kiss on the mouth, bro. Like, what does that have to do with? What's so wrong with that? Fellas,
what are we talking about?
Fellas, is it gay to kiss Justin Bieber? I'm joking now.
From the artist. What are we doing?
No. But I honestly like I just think people are gonna really resonate with the record, and it is 6 explosive songs. Like I just feel like each one packs a punch uniquely of its own. They don't sound similar at all, and like we tried to do very inventive things with them each step of the way. So like we tried to make it to where if an audience of people don't like the one song, maybe they'll like the next song. If they don't like that next song, maybe they'll like the other song or the next set of songs. And like you said something about like listening through how it just took this dramatic shift. I think the first 3 songs have this like lightheartedness, entryway, perfect entryway into the EP. And then the last leg of it, the 3 songs at the end, just segue into this just explosion of what the hell. Like it's just insane. And I'm gonna remain humble about it, but I think lyrically, the last song is probably some of my best work that like I've ever written, because I almost damn near cried writing it.
You almost cried at our first show. Dude.
I did cry, but I didn't make it. I didn't make it fully exposed.
No, it's definitely like a raw EP, and I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing that come across is, and I think especially at shows where like, especially when Josh starts telling everyone like this is what it's about and how much it means to him, and it immediately everyone just gets into that headspace like, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
And I think again with that same thing with production where you didn't overdo it, you let it sound how it's supposed to sound. I think that also emphasizes how raw the subject is and how raw the band is itself.
Yep.
And I think that's a very big thing and why I think we're doing pretty all right.
Yeah.
I think we're okay. I think we're very like open, like this is who we are, this is what we sound like, and I think that comes across, at least to me.
Definitely.
I know the drill.
I didn't know the drink. Pull me up.
Yeah. My favorite thing to talk about from the writing aspect and what I hope people take from it, Grown Cold, the opening riff is actually inspired by a Charlie XCX riff. Shout out the homies. But yeah, so if anybody takes anything away from this EP, it's that I really like Charlie XCX.
We love you, Charlie.
On a lighter note.
Yeah.
You know the song Broom Broom, you know what I'm talking about?
I've honestly, I don't think I've fully.
You gotta check it out. It's a banger.
Listen to Broom Broom. Listen to Broom Broom. Listen to Grown Cold.
Okay.
Thank us later.
Basically the same song. Basically.
I kind of want to hear it now and see if I hear the riff.
I mean, we play it.
No, copyright. Copyright.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll hear it out later.
Yeah.
Kind of bouncing, because Josh, I know you want to talk about kind of, the whole deeper meaning in this. And one thing I've talked about a couple different times on these episodes is, when you first listen to an EP or album, whatever you're listening to, it definitely takes, a few listens to fully get past the instrumentals and get, fully let those lyrics kind of sink in. And I'm on listen, I think 4 or 5 right now, and I think I need that listen 6 to fully I'm right on that hump where I just need a little bit more, and then I'll fully get everything. But I'm I still
70% down.
My man, are you AI? Are you good, homie?
But I'm on the
I can see his eyes rolling in the back of his head.
I'm on the cusp of I'm getting most of the lyrics as I'm going and trying to figure out those deeper meanings. But for someone that's coming into this, I know there's a lot of deep emotional stuff in this. Obviously, I mean it comes with hardcore emo and shit like that. It comes, it's hand in hand. But kind of, I mean, this is your chance to kind of talk about what you want to talk about for the deeper meaning behind this, or I don't know how far deep you want to get in with it.
I've had time to process, so I'll talk my shit. I will. I'll kind of explain how it ties into the band name as well, and how it ties into the EP name. And then if you want a play-by-play, I don't have to take super long to exaggerate each song, but I could tell you each song's individual meaning in a way, if you would like. I'm
cool with it. Is everyone else in the room cool with it?
Yeah.
Can I pee? Is that super unprofessional?
You're also
right back.
If anyone has to pee, you're free to get up and move and come back. And
Okay, I'll be
all right.
Yeah.
Are we sword fighting? Oh man!
Thank God.
Break time. So
This?
So your question. So just kind of taking a deep dive. So to expand on Tether, the EP Human Error, and the collaboration of the 6 songs. So the name Tether of the band comes from it comes from a movie called Us. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Us, that Jordan Peele directed. He directed Get Out.
Oh, no, I didn't watch that one.
No, his adjacent film was Us, and Us talks about this otherworldly beings who look exactly like us called the Tethered.
That's
And
where name it from?
yeah,
No shit.
yeah. And
swear you
I'm
told
learning
us
something.
this.
and so because I didn't think tethered rung off the tongue, and like I'm not a fan of band names. I'm not shitting on other bands who have expansive band names. I'm just saying I'm not a fan of band names that are so drawn out. Like I love Counterparts, it's one word. I love Silverstein, one word. Tether, one word. So tethered just didn't roll off the tongue, and tether did. I showed it to the other guys, they liked it. I kind of expanded on that concept of the line between everyone has an adjacent to them, has a looks into the reflection, and what do you see? Is that really you, or is that your parallel? And I thought the tether of us is the shared pain that I feel, that like shared pain, shared feelings, shared emotions, shared everything that everyone in this world feels. And honestly, it was shortly after the bombings that happened in Ukraine and the invasion that happened in Ukraine, and just everything kind of going wrong in the world from 2020 and up, just everyone having the shared pain. Because like I'll never understand what African Americans in this country feel, because I am not African American. I will never understand what Asian Americans feel in this country, because I'm not Asian American. I'll never understand what my gay, lesbian, trans friends feel in this life, but I can only imagine and share the pain adjacent to what their pain is. And so I wanted to write things along that line, and I felt like tether kind of connected everybody in a similar way. It's just like when you look in the mirror, what do you see? When you look at it, when you look at someone else, are you sharing that pain? Are you actually responding and resonating to that pain that they're feeling, or the things that they're feeling in life? And so it kind of made me think of that. Human error. The concept of human error. So I wrote 6 songs kind of explosively about the loss of my father in 2021. December 2021, my father passed away pretty tragically, actually. He had to go to a medical appointment that he was supposed to get a checkup at, and essentially it turned into this bigger thing where he needed a quadruple bypass, and the surgery was unfortunately unsuccessful. And I personally named the EP Human Error, tethered to that. And not to use tether in the same way, like ironically, but I use the name, and I use that name Human Error because I think of doctors, and I think of all these people that have jobs and careers and anything in this life. They're human just like us, and anyone in this life can make mistakes. And when he passed away, I blame them. I blame myself for not giving myself enough time to him. I blamed the world. I hated the world. I hated myself. And our first single that has come out by the time this is out, Fractures, I talk very, very much so about, and I will dive into all the songs individually. I very much so talk about the existentialism that I felt losing my father. My whole life I've been a very existential person, and losing my father really kind of put me in this weird state of paralysis where like I was like, wow, I like hate the world, and I really hate myself, and I really hate everything that it stands for, because it's like so unfair that someone so talented and someone so work driven and someone so eloquent in life just gets snuffed out like that because of human error, and because of just something that was way out of my control, way out of other people's control. And it wasn't just human error on the doctors, it was human error on himself. Could he have taken care of himself more in his age of 51 years old? Yes, he could have. I don't blame him. You know, everyone, if we really have one life, everyone lives their own life. Do what you want to do. It's yours, live it. And so I kind of named the EP after that, wanted that. Each song, Sleep, Grown Cold, Fractures, Limb to Limb, Disintegrate, and Submerge in Misery, they all have their own meaning individually to how it ties in. Specifically, what is about my father is Sleep, Fractures, kind of, and Submerged in Misery. What is kind of about and surrounding the resonation of my father's passing and what happened surrounding that is what birthed Grown Cold, Limb to Limb. Disintegrate is kind of a little funnier, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Sleep is a complete conversation that I'm having, and as you've already listened to the EP, I am having a very vulnerable conversation with my father because I can't speak to him anymore. I don't know how to. and I'm not a religious man. I don't believe in really anything. So it's hard for me to like pray, sit on my knees and pray and think about it and talk to someone who I can't see, who I can't physically see. And just I just figured I'd have a very vulnerable conversation with my father in sleep. And that is exactly what I do. And it is exactly why I started off with spoken word. And then I start screaming because I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm really upset about losing him. And I think the way Will wrote the instruments really gave me that leverage to be able to just expand on how angry and upset I was. And you've heard it, so you know, like you hear the emotion that's kind of backlined in that. Grown Cold kind of goes into a friend of mine that was friends. We were friends for a very long time. We were no longer friends, unfortunately, due to a very dramatic situation that happened with his ex-girlfriend living in my house. And one of the last things he said to me was that, like, immediately after the passing of my father, he told me that I grew cold and I was just isolating, and that, you know, that was no way to be as a person. But like, he was also the same person to tell me in my face at my father's funeral, while I watched my father get buried into the ground, that I'm crying because you're not crying, and that I will take on the pain that you're not taking on. But then not even a month later, try to tell me, or 2 months later, 3 months later, however many months after, was, oh, you grew cold. You've grown cold. You're isolating. You've just completely isolated from everyone you know. And you just, of course I have. Could you imagine losing someone that you just looked up to your entire life and just snuffed out like that? Like, how the hell do you cope with that immediately? And so I wrote that about him. I hope he hears this. I really do. And I can't wait for him to hear
Fuck that fucking guy.
And Fractures, as I said, is kind of a culmination of my my very existential thoughts. My why am I here? What's my purpose in life? I wake up every day and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I really am tiptoeing and figuring it out. And sometimes I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, and sometimes I don't feel comfortable in my own skin.
Sometimes you're not feeling like
and
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
sometimes I'm not feeling fergalicious. And it is the vibe is not happening, bro.
Man.
And so I wrote that specifically catered to that. Limb to Limb is also about that same person, because I have a matching tattoo with that person right here. And there's a line in that I'm so proud of in Limb to Limb, where in Limb to Limb I say
this line that you're so proud of.
I'm so proud of that.
Right?
What was it again?
Sorry. Drinking. I say, was it worth it in the end? Never thought that this could happen to us, happen to you. You made a mark on my life. The brand lays dormant in my skin.
There it is.
I actually really like that one.
Yeah, that's a fucking house.
It's unfortunate because
You're wild for that.
I have a lot, as you can see, maybe, I mean, the viewers or listeners, whoever, can't really see how many tattoos I have. I have a lot of tattoos, and I don't really share a lot of like matching tattoos with a lot of people. I only share matching tattoos with a few. I can maybe count them on my hand, like 2 or 3 people. And it's really a shame that someone like that I knew many years of my life, about 8 to 10 years of my life, just being able to just cut ties with me so easily, like over something that happened in my life that was so traumatizing that I don't really, like, they acted like they understood, but did they really understand? So I have this really vulnerable conversation with them. And honestly, Limb to Limb is a culmination of love in general. I talk in the lyrics of Limb to Limb where I'm like, the heart fades away, love means nothing. I talk about love in its most vulnerable and purest form in a relationship, friendship, whatever you name it. I've had a very, very destructive family life dynamic, relationship dynamic in my entire life, and friendship dynamic my entire life. And it's really given me an imposter syndrome kind of identity crisis style of life where I really don't know who I am sometimes. And like, now I'm 27, and sometimes it's almost embarrassing to admit, do I really know who I am? I look in the mirror and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And like, it's kind of weird. And then we go on to Disintegrate, which I think Will loves how this.
I love it.
This song, Disintegrate, I wrote about a video game called Elden Ring. And I wrote the song shortly after, kind of synonymously after I beat Elden Ring. in the song, I also talk about what real life aspects are, where I talk about disintegrate with me, my flesh is rotting away, a burial ground calls my name. No amount of light could help me from fading to gray. These creatures rip into my flesh to watch me bleed, because the creatures in the game, they're literally killing you and they have no remorse. They don't care. You're going to, every step you take, it is a dark Souls type game. Every step you take, you will die. You will get hurt. And then in the chorus, I say, because each time my body resurrects, the world around me prays on my demise. Because literally, it feels like that in life. I feel like the moment I step out the door, I don't know what I'm gonna get. And I'm not saying everyone in life is clairvoyant. No one's gonna really know what they're gonna get when they walk out the door, the threshold of their house. But fuck, would I love to know that? Because, and I'm sure the guys here would love to know that too, because it's like, it's so dramatic for no reason. Like, holy fuck, like it just drives me nuts. So then I kind of wanted to keep that same tie of like, oh, I'm writing about a video game that I actually really love and I finally beat because it's like a hard video game. And then I'm like, oh, I want to kind of tie it into real life shit that I'm dealing with. And I just keep going. And then I'm in the chorus, I'm saying, because each time my body resurrects itself, the world around me prays on its demise. These serpents cry, they feed on my insides, offering my skin, but the sanctuary's mine. I tried to give you everything, but you buried me alive. And it's true. You give your whole meaning in life to this world. You give your whole everything. You give your body, mind, and soul to this life. And sometimes they really bury you alive. This world will eat you up, chew you up, and spit you out. And sometimes it really sucks, but it is what it is. You know, you got to kind of take it on the chin and just kind of keep going along if you choose to do so. And it's like, it sucks, but I wanted to write about that. And then Submerged in Misery is just a flatline song about my father again. It's a conversation, but really more so just me telling the audience, like, this is what I'm feeling about it. I am literally drowning in misery. So I go every day waking up with emptiness inside my chest. No one around me would ever see, because a lot of times it has been very hard, especially in my family dynamic, which the viewers, the listeners are not going to know my family dynamic. My band sometimes may not know my entire family dynamic and how chaotic it has been my entire life and how chaotic it's been since my father's passing. But it's been very hard to really talk about his passing. And it's almost been, it's about 1.5 years now. And sometimes it's impossible to talk about because I don't know who to really talk about it with. And so when I talk about it, I'm just like, no one around me would ever see a never ending cycle of my distress submerged in my misery. Literally just telling you what I'm having a conversation. My lyrics are thought out and crafted to where it's like, can an audience listen to this? But I just want to talk. I just want to talk my shit. I just want to tell people what is literally on my mind. And then, you know, I go into the verse, closing my eyes, begging for the light to die, literally hoping I sleep and never wake up. And then when will my disappointment dissipate away? I wake up every day. Life is disappointing. When will that go away? You know, it's like, what the hell? Every single time. Tried all my life to carry myself out of the dirt, but in the end, I'm destined to fail. So tell me, where do I go from here? So then I'm just like having a leisure conversation going into the chorus. I'm like, so tell me now, where do I go from here? I can feel myself slipping away because I feel sometimes I'm like in and out of life. I'm having these disassociating weird aspects of life. And it's just hard to talk about. No one lets me talk about these things because the moment you talk about these things with people, they get uncomfortable. And I get it. I totally understand. It's not an easy subject. It's not easy to talk about, but I know people are feeling this.
I think that's what's cool about music though, because like all these are coming from a place of your personal life, but everyone listening is gonna hear bits and pieces and relate that to something they're going through.
Absolutely.
So I think, you know, even if you're writing about your father or even Elden Rings, like, which isn't even a personal, like, I think all of your lyrics will kind of invoke something in the listener to be like, to kind of connect with struggles they've gone through.
Absolutely.
And I think that's cool about music, that everyone's going to have their own meaning.
Human error was meant to be, it was the catalyst of me just saying, this is what I'm feeling. Do you feel this same way? And will you feel the same way? Can you relate to what I'm saying? And if you do, find sanctuary in what we're doing. And talk to us about it. Maybe have a conversation with us after a show about it. You know, I'm not afraid to talk about it. Are you? You know, like, I don't think the guys here are afraid to talk about it. Like, it sounds, but you know, but it's unfortunate because I don't feel, unless it was a therapy session or unless it's talking to my partner or talking to my closest friends, it's not easy to talk about stuff like this, and people know that. And I challenge people to try to talk more about what they're feeling. I challenge people to talk more about what the hell's on their mind, because people are so scared to do that for right reasons. And I'm not shaming anyone for that, because this world can be a little twisted. And sometimes they don't give you the breathing room and the space to do that. But we don't, we don't discriminate. We don't hold anyone who decides to listen to us to that standard of, oh, well, like, how big's your pain, or how this or how that, like, oh, are you going to talk about this forever? No, let me hear about what you have to talk about. And then we talk about going back to how our live shows go, kind of like what Serge mentioned before. I talk about it, especially more so if we're headlining. I get more time to talk about it, but I just want people to know this is a very intimate moment that I'm having with you guys. And like, I'm being as vulnerable as I can. My stage presence isn't just me putting on an act. This is me actually showing you what I feel and the shit I want to say and how I want to say it. And here it is. And I think music is so beautiful for that, being able to be that vessel of just creation and light, and just like being able to kind of shed light to other people, and just like allow people like me and a lot of people like these guys to do that and to expand on their thought processes. Because I may feel like this, but who knows if these guys also feel the same way? You know, who knows what is going on, unless they know them like I do. Does anyone in the audience know what they're going through individually? Are they going through the same thing? I would like to know if the audience members are going through the same thing, you know, and that is human error. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to unpack.
We didn't have time for all.
I'm so sorry.
You're good.
About your trauma.
More like open up a box of tissues. God damn.
No, but like what Christian said is like, anyone's gonna listen to it, and whether they listen to this and they know the backstory to the songs or like what everything's about, there's things that are still relatable, whether they are going through the same shit or not. Like because that's the nice thing about like how Christian was saying again, like with music in general, is you can listen to a song and take it in a whole different meaning than what it was originally intended to be about. So yes, you're writing these songs about your father, but someone could take it in a whole nother direction and base it off someone else.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I feel like a lot of people, especially like if they listen to this and know the backstory, are gonna, you know, really resonate. It's all gonna resonate, and they're gonna find it more relatable than anything. But even at the surface level, it's still a relatable EP that you can just fucking vibe with and like get your feelings out at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
That means a lot. Seriously.
Before we start to transition, is there anything between Tether, Human Error, that we might not have covered that you want the people to know about?
I think we nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I was so robust. I do apologize.
You're okay.
Robust.
I'm so sorry.
That's a vocab word for the week.
Look it up. Look it up now.
Oh God.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely got the gist across.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like we kind of mentioned, just everyone stay tuned for July 14th for the CP to come out. Make sure you jam it as much as you can. But now we're going to start to transition. And before we get to the later half of this episode, this is obviously Beers with Bands. So, you know, you don't have to be drinking on these episodes, but you know for sure I will do that for you. What are you gentlemen drinking on this fine Tuesday night?
Oh my fucking God. Let me tell you right now. this bullshit called Di Serrano.
Sucks.
I'm holding it up like I'm an influencer.
Sucks.
Christian and I mutually agree that it sucks.
It
It
does.
sucks.
Surge,
Serge, the Italian.
but he doesn't even have his bass in a case.
No, wait a minute. You can't do that. No. Are you kidding me? Who the fuck
I'm
cooked
gonna
this?
pour that in another cup.
What is
And
So
then
we-
we had started with this.
Some Jose Cuervo.
Oh yeah.
Tequila.
I
Tequila.
have one of these guys, Original Sin ciders.
Okay.
Christian's girlfriend actually turned me on to them. They're really good.
They're for guys too.
Different guys too. Different guys too.
They're cool.
Yeah, and Christian.
I just got a LaCroix.
A LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Nothing wrong with a good LaCroix.
Nothing wrong with a good old static in a can.
Little static in a can.
What did you just say?
What did you just-
You're not a seltzer guy?
You're not a seltzer guy?
I'm not
Not a normal seltzer guy. Like I'll do hard seltzers.
The fuck does that
Oh, I no. At first, I was gonna say that, and then he said hard seltzer, and I was like, I get it.
Oh,
Okay,
I
all right. You're twisting my arm on that one, guy.
can't stand seltzer.
static in a can? That's funny.
Is it Truly? Is that a seltzer?
Truly is a seltzer.
I had one of
It
those
is
the
a
other day.
seltzer.
They're pretty good. Yeah.
And they have
Alright.
Truly
I don't mind
lemonade
seltzer.
now.
I just
Yeah,
don't like.
like-
I just don't like seltzers. I think it's a texture thing. For me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
My
I
wife
like
can't.
cough syrup.
They can't drink
that's just literal
anything.
cough syrup.
Whatchamacallit, carbonated. Kelsey can't drink anything carbonated.
Damn.
That's why my
Refuse.
girlfriend likes ciders because
Yeah.
she's like they're not as like bubbly as like beer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm a beer man through and through.
The girlies,
I
you
just don't
know,
want-
and the guys. If you got IBS, it's not right.
It's not.
It's not right.
Right.
It just don't be sitting right.
The
you
guy
know?
who shits his pants all the time.
Coming
I'm
from a certified IBS expert.
I'm Indian and Italian, so I be shitting a lot.
Man.
I'm
There's
just
a lot
keeping
of
that.
acid in that.
There's a
food.
lot of
Yeah.
acid in that food. You know what I'm saying? No, I didn't mean to snort. Cut that out. Cut that out.
Edit that out.
Edit that out. Smash. Next question. Anyways.
And the listeners already know this is coming, but drinking good old PBR on my
PBR.
end.
All right. You can't go wrong with PBR. Everyone
Killed
calls
a
it
30
a.
case of Dover.
Oh my god! Oh my
I
god!
don't even like NASCAR, but I loved it after.
I went to a bar yesterday called Stogie Joe's. PBRs are $2.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
This is my spot. Let's go.
Listen, I don't give a fuck what people say about PBR saying it's a college beer. It's smooth.
It's beer, bro.
It's
It's like beer.
beer.
What you want.
Wait.
Every beer tastes the same.
I didn't know PBR.
To a degree. I'm an IPA guy.
Light beer. tastes the
Okay,
same.
light beer tastes the same.
All right, that's a little more
yeah.
fair.
I didn't know anyone considered PBR a college beer because in college
Dude.
we drank like Keystone.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
Rolling Rock.
Oh, I guess
Yeah.
you're also drinking Four Loco too.
Yeah.
Up
The
your
Natty
ass
Lights,
crack.
dude. The natties were out.
What the hell? Keystone?
Dude, awful.
Yeah, it's what we could
Why
afford
is that?
freshman year.
Lion's Head
Oh,
with the riddles on the. You got Lion's Head in the glass bottle and the.
No, I don't. We never drank those. I don't think.
Ooh,
I don't think.
Lion's Head,
I've,
they're dirt cheap, but they're delicious.
yeah, they're
okay.
They're so cheap, dude.
Got some hard opinions going on.
You don't even drink beer. Your opinion doesn't count.
Oh,
This is how the man
It's
breaks
'cause
up.
Fine, it's I'm drinking beer.
once we close this up, we're gonna have a fist fight. Stay
Well,
tuned.
that'll be part 2 that
Oh,
goes up on the
oh my God.
Patreon.
Are you gonna have footage for this because it's gonna be great.
Yeah, it goes up on the Patreon. Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Yes, we need new gear. Come on.
Well, before it gets too heated, we'll end the beer segment. Save it for after the podcast for round 2. But now it's into my favorite part of the episodes and the reason these episodes even exist. This is where we just talk about some fun stories from you guys' time in music, whether it's shows, tours, time recording. As I normally say, they can be anything horrendous to tremendous or any adjective in between.
I can talk about the Kangaroos.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
You can bleep that out, right?
Who wants to start?
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, all right,
Oh,
Serge.
All right. So this is dumb as fuck. All right, so I was in a band. I was a punk band called the Cankers. I literally joined them. I was like 14. No, I was like a freshman in high school, so whatever age you are then.
Yeah.
And they were all
So, like,
seniors.
15,
Yeah.
14, 15.
So they're all seniors. They're like, "Do you like punk music?" I'm like, "I don't know what that is." I don't know what that is. They're like, "Can you play fast?" I was like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Sounds good. Joined them. We played forever, and we played like 40 fucking songs. Where every song was like 20 seconds long. We're talking like 80s thrash hardcore songs where every song is just blast beats. All right, thanks. And our next song, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
We played a show in this place called DGB. It was just a house in fucking near where I live. And mind you, it's a basement, so everyone's eye level with you. There's no stage and shit. And again, that's kind of where I started with, Jag 1, where I'll break guitars, I'll throw them in the fucking, there used to be drywall in that basement, and it was gone because of me. I would break the fucking drywall, all this dumb shit. Well, out of nowhere, I'm playing, and again, I'm like fucking horse kicking, I'm throwing my body around, and everyone's just involved and just into it. Out of nowhere, some dude just walked up and just fucking clocked me in the eye in the middle of my set. Just walked up and was like, and he goes, "You kicked my fucking girlfriend, you pussy!" And immediately, my singer hit him with the microphone, and it just turned into a fight. So apparently,
I can totally see it.
so I remember, like, I got hit, but like I was so adrenaline, like I got hit. I didn't feel anything immediately, but it was like after, like a couple seconds later, I'm like, dude, my fucking eyes killed me. And immediately they grabbed that guy to pull him out. I'm like, what happened? They're like, apparently you kicked his girlfriend. So I think it was just like, just get into it. I like just kicked back towards the crowd. I just caught some girl.
Yeah.
But if you go into any show, especially if you have your girl, you stand in front of them, and you put your fucking arm up.
Yeah.
Any show ever.
Yeah.
So this dumbass was just like, "Hey babe, wait here while I go fuck off."
Yeah.
And she got kicked. And I don't think I think she stayed. I don't know what exactly happened. I remember I think it was like 16 or 17 when this happened. They kicked him out, and immediately I was like, "Fuck that guy!" And I was like, "I guess we'll continue our set."
Yeah.
And I have like 800 stories that are just as dumb as that one from that band alone. But that's the one I think about the most. It's just
That's
some dude
horrendous.
just again, and everyone's like, he just went through everybody, and I was like, "Oh, he's into the band." He's fucking good. And immediately my singer retorted, he was like, "What the fuck? Like, why would you punch him? He's playing a show. The fuck?"
He's a child.
Yeah, mind you, I'm like super underage, and I'm drinking. Like, again, everyone was so much older than me. They're like, "You're like 21, right?" I'm like 17. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, "So you want to do a shot?" I'm like, "Absolutely. I drink all the time." And
I heard they just recently added more hops to it.
I remember playing bars in Philly when I was 16 that way, dude. It was so fucking dumb.
Oh my god.
And the bartender goes, "Oh, you're in a band. You must be 21." I go,
Yeah.
"That's right. I'm
That's
born
right.
at 16."
I remember doing underage shows. I was actually in a cover band when I was like probably the same age, like 16. And it was like, now being an adult, I'm like, I would love to still do that because it paid. But at the time I was like, this isn't original music. This is all covers. This is lame. So I quit. But I just remember being like 16, 17, like in bars with fully grown adults. And we would play like 4 or 5 hour sets. Like I just had to learn like a page of like 70s to today rock pop hits. And we were just playing through, doing our thing, just working at that point. And like I remember like we're taking our little like 20-minute break. And like I just remember being like a kid. I'm 16, never had a drink of booze in my life. And like fully grown, wasted adults are like stumbling over like, the drums, man, they're the soul of the band, man. You really gotta just keep doing what you're doing, man. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, these adults are crazy. And like them telling like the singer, like, you gotta turn the vocals up, man. I really gotta.
Yeah.
So just like experiencing drunk, like grown adults, like my parents' age. When I was 16, I was like, what the fuck is going on, dude? That was funny.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Okay, so I mean, I can't remember which story I told for the Driving Underwater podcast, but
I don't
got
either.
a bunch. But one of my favorite stories, probably one of the funniest things I've ever heard said on stage, and then a follow up is one of the most awkward things. Is kind of piggybacking off of yours with just like drunk ass people at shows. So we played the show in a New Brunswick basement. And they had a fog machine in this basement. And this was a band before Driving Underwater. So I wasn't the vocalist at the time. The lead singer they start pouring this fog into the basement, and we're all thinking like, wow, this is a fire hazard. This is terrible. And he's like, it's like a fucking Halloween store in here. To this day, I think about that at least once a week. Him just in the mic like, it's a fucking Halloween store in here. And then to top it off, the other best part about that specific show is the way they had the stage set up. There was a fridge with beers in it that people kept. I'm like way out of the camera.
Oh my God, get in here.
Come
here, little boy.
So there was a fridge with beers in it that everybody kept like opening up during our set. And my buddy Rob, who you met in Driving Underwater, is just standing there having to go like this, like every 2 seconds, just like just move out of the way because this fucking guy's just opening the fridge into him while we're playing. And I'm just like, where are we right now? Like, what is happening? So yeah, that's one of the horrendous. I've got so many.
Oh my God.
From so many bands.
I think I've got 3 pretty horrendous. I've never gotten to tour with my old band. We got to play like some really good like back-to-back shows, and before I guess like now they're called. Like, do you want to say it? No? So before they used to call them like weekenders, and they probably called them weekenders back then. Like we did play like back-to-back shows, but like we weren't like we were like Jersey one day, PA one day, then Delaware the next day, or like something like
on tour.
Or New York. Yeah. We didn't know what the fuck like the terminology was. We were 17, 18 years old. Yeah. So like we didn't know. There's 3 different stories I'm gonna tell you that are just stupid, just really stupid. So the one was I mentioned earlier in the podcast that we had a show where it was a battle of the bands with for Sumerian Records, and essentially it was like to get on Sumerian Records. Now, mind you, 17-year-old kids in New Jersey had no fucking business trying to even audition for this shit. Like there were some heavyweight champion type bands. Like if anyone listening is very familiar with the old Jersey scene of bands, they know like bands like Beyond Dishonor and like all these other bands were like really heavyweight champions in the local Jersey scene and like really kicking the shit at these like battle of the band type things. Like they had professional type music videos, they were touring, they were playing like all-star tour and shit like that. Like they were doing like the craziest shit. We were not doing that. We were playing local shows at Champs in Trenton. And like, if you're familiar with Champs in Trenton, it is probably one of the not so nicest venues ever, but the people at Champs in Trenton were the homies and goated for hosting shows there. So there was this one show at Sumerian Records the Sumerian Record Battle of the Bands where I had gotten my first wireless guitar system. It was a Line 6 G60 relay or something like that. And I remember like super young, made my own money trying to get this fucking thing. And I was like, oh my God, at the time I wanted to be just like the Chariot. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that band, but they used to just throw their gear around and like break shit just because they could. And it was like a part of their stage presence and also their sound. Like even if you hear their actual tracks, it just sounded like they were just taking their instruments and beating the shit out of like an animal or a horse or like I don't know, horse is an animal. And so I
something else.
And so I was like, I like these guys. So I decided to get some strap locks for my little Telecaster, and I decide, our songs are a little heavy. Let me get into the mosh pit. I get into the mosh pit with my fucking my little wireless guitar system, and I start swinging this thing. This kid dead across the mouth, and he flies to the wall in Champs. Like flies, he's like
Neo in the Matrix.
Staggers. And I was like,
at least no one punched you in the face.
Yeah, true.
Oh, wait until I get to story number 2.
Oh, story number 2.
Wait until I get to story number 2. So, and this isn't at Champs, it's at another place, but. So I hit the person, then afterwards, the guy from Sumerian is judging us, and he's like, listen, you guys, your stage presence is cool, but your instruments are sloppy. Like, dude was grilling us, like really grilling us. He's like, instruments are sloppy. He's like, I like what you guys bring to the table, but like, you gotta play tighter. And I was like, okay. And then our name was Provenance, which stands for the beginning of something, like the creation of something. Whereas Providence is a place in Rhode Island. And so he was like, so you guys are Providence? And, we're 17 years old trying to tell a grown man that we're Providence. Like, it's like, dude, you're fucking annoying at this point. Like, it's Provenance. And he's like, Providence. And
Read
I'm
a
like,
book.
I'm about to kick the shit out of you, man. Like, I couldn't take it. So, was what it was. Story number 2. We played this like headliner show. We didn't really have like we were trying to announce like a new single we were gonna have called Tunnel Vision, and we were trying to like make this big ordeal about it. And so this was like 2013, 2000 onset, almost 2014 era, and we played at this church, like Willow Grove area of Pennsylvania, and it was like right across the bridge. And I'm a notorious mosher. I love moshing. I've been moshing since I was 16 years old, and I still do it at the ripe age of 27. And I decided to be cute and try to mosh in a mosh pit. And this crowd killer decides to come into the mosh pit. And let me tell you, he hit me so hard in the temple of the head. From the center of the mosh pit, I went flying under the merch table.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
And then I don't remember the impact. I just remember waking up under the table like, are we playing yet?
Are we playing yet?
Like, we didn't even get to play yet. So then my vocalist said, did we win? So then my vocalist comes up to me and he's like, yo, Josh, you good? And I was like, dude, I think I got like name damage or something. I was like, something not sitting right. And I was the lead guitarist at the time. So he's like, this is fucked. Like something's not gonna. Dude's
can't play your parts,
dude's got a concussion, and my other guitarist is like, if Josh can't play, we have to quit. And I'm like, we're literally the headliners. Like we cannot quit. Yeah. And so it was bad news bears. You know, it was not fun. And then like the third story is something stupid. We were recording our 6-song EP with this guy in Warminster, Pennsylvania. His name's Bruce Wayner. He ended up doing really cool and big things in like recording. Like he ended up recording like Gabby Hanna and like Scotty Sire and like all these other like cool California type like viners. Like I don't know if you're familiar with like viners and shit like that, but like these dudes, like, yeah, I was really thrown off by this guy. And he was like so cool. And so we were like recording our EP, and mind you, I don't want to play the race card, but I was the only brown member of the band. And so one day I come to the recording session to finish up the EP. Dude, out the gate, I walk through the door and he's like, yo, what's up, brown note? And I'm gonna tell you, man, like, he's nice. He's a nice guy. He's not racist. He's not racist. I was like, brown note. And so the entire time I'm recording the guitars, if I fucked up and I had to re-record, they're just sitting around, come on, brown note. Like, let's go, brown note. And I'm like, y'all, this sounds like a targeted crime, bro. Like, something's not right. And like I felt ridiculous because at the time I'm wearing like this green like cat sweater that said like swag on it or something stupid. Like 2013. So like, or 2014. So like, I'm sorry. Like it was like a cat sweater. Like, yeah, and a cat's wearing like a gold chain that said swag. So like, there's my. I'm done describing. That's my band story. And now I want to take a nap. So what do you?
I just remembered when we were on tour. So my old band Afloat, band I was in Afloat. We went on a tour, and like we had like a few pretty cool shows, like some house shows, some shows at bar. Some college houses, places that like had a decent crowd. But the worst show of our entire tour was at it was a bookstore, but it was owned by the people who lived above it. So it was like a very small, like 2 rooms just with like random books. Like it was a bookstore. And they were also in this like strip of like other restaurants and like barbershops and like whatever. And I guess like other apartments where they were like, yeah, we kind of need to be quiet. Like, we're going to throw a live show, but like, you can't, keep it down.
Shut the fuck up.
So everyone played like, amps down, drummers really like soft hitting, like, and which kind of like threw us off. I feel like as a band, we're like, we're playing the songs different than we ever play them. We kind of felt a little weird, whatever. We get through our set and everyone, not to mention there was nobody there. Like the only people that were there, it was one of those shows. It's just like you and the other bands as the audience, and everyone's just waiting to play.
Man.
Except the first band had like his whole family come out, and you know they were his family because as soon as he finished, they all left.
Yeah.
Like they all like hugged and kissed and took photos
no.
and then left.
Yeah.
So we were just playing for each other and had to play quiet, and it like sucked. But and I was like very upset at the time because I'm like, we're on tour, we're like doing all this work, and we're playing out here for nobody. Like, what's the point? And then like it's what cracked me up was the last band. So we're all super quiet. It's a bookstore. Last band comes on. Their drummer has like these industrial earplugs. Like, I gotta protect myself. It's about to go down.
Yeah.
They do the sound check, and the whole band is turned down, and the drummer is just wailing like full ball, like black, like smashing the drum. And it was just so funny because their entire set was the band extra quiet and the drummer like I don't know, like just extra loud. Like I don't know if they got the memo that we had to keep it down.
Yeah.
He's just like, I only know how to play one way and one way
It's
only.
like, I play drums, I play loud. That's what I do. But that was fucking hilarious. It was the worst show I ever played, but it was so funny just to hear that last
Dude, how
band.
could you leave that out? That's gold.
It was
That's
hilarious.
such a gold story.
And then
Oh
I
my
guess like
God.
a positive is like I played one show that kind of the opposite. Like instead of it being the worst show ever, it was like a really cool show. It was Alisana had their 10-year anniversary for some album, whatever the album with the mirror. You guys know
Oh
Alisana?
yeah, I love
think so.
Alisana.
And the
Yeah,
mirror.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
whatever.
I'm trying
So-
to think of the album name, but
Well,
yeah.
whatever. So they were doing a 10-year anniversary. It was a band that I grew up listening to, a metal band that I was like, well, how are we opening? How are we opening for these guys? Like this is great. Like kind of you and counterparts.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was like
Dude,
this is
yeah.
crazy. And they sent me the venue we're gonna play at, and it's just a bar. And they're like, we're playing outside. And I look at the outside seating, and it's just like a patio with some tables. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like, how we're opening up for these guys? Like, they must not be doing well if we're playing here. And I'm kind of down on it before I get there. And then I roll up, and there are like two 18-wheelers that they have a stage like deconstructed within these trucks, and they like unload a full stage with like
Wow.
a whole like backstage area
Oh,
riser for the
shit.
drums, all backline equipment, like a big arch over like a legit stage. So apparently their like little patio area had nothing to do with where we were playing. They had like a bunch of like grass, like a field, and they just built a stage in it and like packed out like a couple hundred people. And it was an awesome show, but it was just like kind of the opposite where I like, I'm on tour and I'm like, this is the greatest. And I'm
Yeah,
playing
and you were like, oh,
live.
this show
Like,
fucking
this
sucks.
sucks.
And then now,
And now
yeah,
I'm playing this
literally.
show where I'm like, this is gonna be so
Holy
lame.
shit,
And
yeah.
I get there and they like built a stage for us.
Yeah.
They have like staff backstage. Like, if you guys need
Wow.
anything, they plugged us all in, gave us fans, gave us water. Like, it was so professional. I was like, what is
Holy
going on?
shit.
That was a really cool show.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
God damn, dude.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
so sick.
I was
Oh my
gonna
God.
say, It's wild. Fucking wild.
Who's the rest of
So as far as positive shows, so going from the horrendous to the tremendous, Driving Underwater got lucky enough to play. So G was in another band called Riverview for a while, and so they asked if we could. Basically, August, the lead singer, having become friends with G, asked if Rob and I could fill in for like a short tour or whatever, and we ended up playing Fest with them, which was my first time to Fest in any capacity. But then to be playing, I was like, the fuck am I doing here? I'm not professional enough. It was wild. It was just the whole atmosphere of Gainesville during that time is so cool. And then I think it was Lucy's was the bar we played, if I remember correctly, like right on the main stretch there, which it wasn't a huge bar, but it was like packed out. It was really cool. And it was just like really cool to play with, like play as like with Driving Underwater, but it's not Driving Underwater.
Yeah, it's literally your whole band.
Yeah. And then the other one that we did that was really cool, this was last summer, and then into the fall we did we opened up as Driving Under Riverby. We opened up for Catbite at St. Vitus, which was possibly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and one of the coolest shows I've ever played. That was really sick. So yeah, fun times.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out the homies.
Shout out the homies.
Do you have any positive?
Positive, probably
stories?
not.
You had the people come out from another state.
Oh,
to
no,
see y'all.
this was new. Actually, this is really recent. So the band I'm also in, Jag One, we're up in like Jackson. We just did like a mini tour, literally played New Brunswick, Brooklyn, Boston, Connecticut, Vermont, like up and down that whole coast. And our Brooklyn show, we're just playing to promote our album that came out like, when it came out a couple months ago, a month ago at this point.
Yeah.
And so we just played pretty much that, not the whole album, but like all the major hits of that album and like one song off an album before. And kind of similar to Tether, I'm new to that band as well. I jumped in as they were recording that album, so I had to learn old material and learn what they were recording, and it was the worst time of my life. I was always tired. And no, but we're playing, and mind you, that Brooklyn show, that entire tour, I was on edibles, so I have very very poor memory.
My whole
His
tour-
his cognitive skills, not cognitive.
My whole tour was
I played great,
Adderall.
but you could not talk to me. And because I'm having a conversation in some other liminal space.
Yeah.
So
Another realm.
We gotta be on stage in 10 minutes, dude. I'm in the 4th dimension right now.
and then I'll
Yo,
get the
dude.
nasty solo I've never practiced. Like, it makes no sense. But no, so what ended up happening was we're playing and we get done, and it was a packed show, and that was the one cool thing about that tour. It was our
Yeah.
first tour ever, and it was packed every place we picked. I think we just picked good venues.
Yeah.
So sure enough, we get done, and these two girls come up to me and they go, "We flew out from Seattle to see you guys." Like, so they had found Jag One on Spotify and listened to us, and they were planning to do like an East Coast vacation, and they were like, "Oh, well, let's see what's in Brooklyn, what's going on." As soon as they saw we were playing in Brooklyn at that particular time, they go, "We're going to Brooklyn. That's part of our itinerary now. We need to go see Jag One." So it was super weird, and it's never happened to me before. It hasn't happened since, and hopefully maybe it'll happen in the future.
Yeah.
They're talking to me as if I'm fucking Justin Bieber, the one I want to kiss.
Yes!
So, no, but they were
It all
like,
comes
they were-
back.
and what kind of fucked me up? They walked up to us and they go, "You didn't play Goner." I go, "What,
What?
the fuck?" I go,
Who are you? I didn't
And they
know
go,
I saw
"No, we love you guys. You guys are incredible. Can we like get your picture? And can you like sign something?" I was like, "I'm fucking nobody." And I was like, but again, my dumb edible brain, I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, man."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, absolutely." But what made it even funnier was like they took a picture of me, and then the rest of my band's looking at me like, "What the fuck's this guy doing?" And I'm like, "Do you want?" And so again, my ego blew up to like 100. So I was like, "Do you want to meet the rest of the band?" Mind you, I've been in this fucking band with them for days. I can't even stand them at this point. So I'll just, but now they're my fucking boys. So I go, "Don't you want to meet Phil and Chris and Tyler? They're the fucking boys." And they're like, and I told them, and of course, same thing happened to them. They're like, "You came from Seattle?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why?"
Yeah.
But no, that might have been one of the cooler.
Yeah.
And and Phil signed his drumsticks. I gave him like some picks, and it was really fucking cool. But no, yeah, that might be the most tremendous thing, other than my guitar being hung up at a venue because I broke it there.
Oh
That's a
my
great
god,
story.
that's a
Yeah.
great story, dude. I'll never forget when you sent us that like fucking Instagram video of like the people, like 200 fucking plus people
Yeah,
in like
Yeah,
that
that's a good
backyard
story.
/. basement.
New Brunswick's popping
Like
off.
that was
That's where we
insane.
predominantly play.
I was like, holy fuck! Like
Yeah.
I could never imagine like in such a small, intimate space. Like it's
What was it? The one New Brunswick show you guys played with the float.
Yeah.
That was a Jag One. Was it halfway through our set? Cops shut us down
Yeah.
because we were just playing way too loud, way too late outside.
Yeah.
But
Damn,
no,
bro.
just Jag One's fun for that. It has some pretty fun moments, and we're still kind of we're kind of a little hiatus right now. But
Yeah.
that's right now. It's my tremendous stories come from them. All my fun, fucked up stories come from the camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally forgot about the Seattle.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's a big one.
wow, that's so
Oh,
funny.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're fucked up, can't you tell?
I feel it. I love
I
it.
feel it. I actually hate you guys.
He's like, wow, he's like, these guys, you guys are scumbags.
Yeah,
Here's
I
all-
secretly didn't record this at all, so it doesn't.
Just anyway, we're gonna start.
We're gonna start.
Yeah. You guys ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, the three of them told us a tremendous story. Josh, do you got one good tremendous story to lead us out?
Let's see. I will say, you know, like Counterparts was cool. Like that was monumental. Nothing crazy happened at that show, so like I can't like I think the coolest thing that happened there was like Brendan took one of Providence's shirts, and like I thought that was cool in the hopes that maybe one day he would just wear it on stage. Like
Or, you know, pay for it.
I couldn't care. I was like I couldn't care. Like maybe,
20 bucks.
but I think one of the coolest shows I ever had was absolutely opening for Barrier and Adalia. And Barrier, if you're familiar with a band, or you're probably familiar with a band called Sworn In. Sworn In was essentially Barrier, and Sworn In sounded very similar at the time that Sworn In released their Start End EP, and Barrier had just released their one EP. I forgot what it was called, but I think it was called like The Despot or something like that, or that might be one of the song names on it. But they headlined. Adalia were the closer, or the band before them, and then we opened, and then there was another band. And the coolest thing ever was that Barrier used 7-string guitars, Adalia used 7-string guitars. We were, you know, drop C tuning, fucking 6 strings, you know, whatever.
Amateur hour.
Amateur hour.
Poses.
Who are we? Kill switch engage. Come on. And so
Who would even conceive of doing that? I mean, child's play.
So we're watching these guys play with like 7 strings and like drop F sharp or some fucking crazy like tuning. And the coolest shit to happen was like, it wasn't like an insanely big show, even though we were surprised it wasn't, because Barrier was such a well-known band at that time because of like them, Sworn In, and then Villains. There's another band called Villains that were also like this like proggy, like deathcore, hardcore, like weird sound. It was weird. And and so like all the bands sounded so similar.
Yeah.
And Barrier, when they went on, their guitarist, like he broke a string. Like, and I don't
Because there were too many.
and this is my fear. This is my fear with a 4-piece band. The guitarist broke a string. So for the rest of like a song,
Sure
for the rest of the one song, and then the next song, they played it just bass and drums and vocals. So you hear this like vocalist like doing, and then it's just, it's just straight bass. And I'm like, everyone in the crowd is like, oh no. And but the funniest fucking thing is people in the mosh pit were still crowd killing, like doing somersaults in the fucking mosh pit, like feet in the air, ass in the air, like
all you need is a rhythm section, baby.
crazy. It was just drums and bass, and people are swinging on their moms and their fucking children in this pit. And I'm like, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there looking at the guys. I'm like, what are we doing wrong? And then Adalia, bless their fucking soul, the guitarist was like, at one point he was like, all right, this is a little much. Maybe we should let them use their guitar. And so they let the guitarist, they're like, here, use the guitar. And then so they finished tuning it, and they're like, the vocalist is like, all right, we're back, but we only have 2 songs left. And we're like,
Yeah.
you're kidding. Like, you just made us go through that.
Yeah.
And now, all right, whatever, 2 songs. That's it. All right, whatever. So now that was the coolest show. It was hands down was the coolest show because the vibes were just immaculate between all the bands. Barrier was interesting because they were like a little standoffish, but like I think it was more so the vocalists. But Adalia were the real homies for like stepping in, and it was just so cool to see like people adore that band, like so enamored by that band that they like were just like, oh fuck, like even if it's just bass, drums, and vocals, I'm going to kick someone. This is the time. This is the time to get violent.
Yeah.
Like it was insane. I'm like, it takes a village, you know.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Those show moments are always super great when everything's on point. But I mean, the stories all around are super sick. It's crazy that anyone would like what you're saying, sir, fly across the country to see a band that you're playing in. Like that's fucking surreal. But I mean, dudes, Tether is fucking sick, and hopefully people fly from across the country to come see you guys at one point. Like you guys,
that's
fucking
the goal. I
um,
already have people and my friends from Colorado and like from fucking California, like all over. They're like, when you guys are gonna come out? And I'm like, dude, give us a sec. I was like, wait, we're coming. Just wait.
Well, I guess that leads into another question: is does Tether plan to do any tours or weekenders coming up after the release?
Yeah, I think we have like a September, October time frame, like era of like maybe like a weekender we're gonna do a few more shows we're trying to really book and like get going. You know, we have busy lives and like we're trying to like not infringe on that and also infringe on the project, like doing Tether, but on the same notion, like we really do want to get a tour going. And if we don't get it, if we don't get like a tour within this year, next year we really have an idea to like pack an insane punch. Like we really think we're gonna come in hot and heavy because we already feel like we're coming in pretty hot and heavy for the remainder of 2023. So
I know I'm hot.
I know. Somebody get this guy a towel. Because he damn near cummed himself. But yeah, no,
That's
we
it.
really
Just
we
cut it
yeah.
off, cut it off.
But we really do have like a lot of cool like things we have in plan and like kind of are laying dormant at the moment. And then the weekender
Big
will
things
be
coming.
Big things coming.
Yeah, big things coming.
Big things back in town.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like
button. Make sure you subscribe.
So I know that this episode is a few weeks earlier than the EP dropping, but once it drops, where can people find it, or where can they find Tether to like stay up to date with everything else?
Oh, Will, you got
So,
this.
Smash that like button. So we are Tether is our handle for pretty much all our social media. We're on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I think those are the three right now. Those are the big three that I mainly use. So then I assume everybody else does because, you know, and then as far as finding the music, we will have a digital album for sale on Bandcamp.
Yep.
Streaming on pretty much every platform, and then physical CDs through our friends at Knife Punch. It will be available shortly after release, I believe. So yeah.
Depending where you found this episode, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or you watched the YouTube version and got to see their lovely faces, like I did tonight, make sure you check the description below. Hit all those hyperlinks, stay up to date with everything that Tether has going on, and be ready for the album, the EP to come out, the weekenders, future tours, merch at some point, I'm guessing, just everything that's in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, Christian's actually wearing one
shameless
of the
promotion.
shirts right now.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
But I mean, Tether's sick. You guys, this has been a fun fucking Tuesday.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks,
stoked
been a
on
lot of
this EP,
fun.
and I'm stoked for everyone else to finally get to hear it.
Hell yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
can't
so
wait.
are we. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, other than that, like I said, everyone go follow Tether. Shout out the homies, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode.
Oh yeah.
Cool,
See ya.
man. Thanks.
Later, guys.
Later.
Beers with Biz.